It's about enough time to get the voting done. So at this Under the Radar, what we're doing is we're also giving some of the alumni companies a chance to come back and update us on what has happened since they were last here. And sitting on stage with me right now is Teo Tyree. He's with Puppet Labs. Puppet Labs was the overall show-winning company in the 2010 Under the Radar. So they took home the best of show. So Tyree, why don't you give us an update on what's going on with Puppet?
Hi, I'm Teo Tyree. I'm co-founder of Puppet Labs, and I'm head of business development for this week, and see what I'll do next week. I move around and work on new problems all the time, the company. And for those of you that don't use Puppet already, a lot of our friends are already here. A lot of customers, Zynga, I know is one that we like to call out all the time. They're probably getting a little tired of that, but they're really good customers of ours. What Puppet allows you to do is automate your infrastructure in a simple way. Luke and I were sysadmins. We were frustrated with the state of art of the tooling available to us, and what we wanted to do was build a better system. We give administrators the ability to control their cost of the overhead, to reduce the costly errors. So one of the things in large infrastructures that people kind of worry about is, deployment mistakes, and you see things like ITIL in place to slow down and control change, and Puppet's designed to allow you to change rapidly, but with some safety nets. And then just to accelerate your software rollout. So one of the things you really want to be able to do is get applications in front of your customers faster, and Puppet really helps with that. So last time we were here, back in 2010, we just asked you to automate your computers. So if you have computers, you might want to use Puppet. And thankfully, a lot of you guys have decided to automate your infrastructures and use Puppet. And since then, we've made it a lot easier. We just released Puppet Enterprise 2.5 in March. And we have added broader support. So now we support Windows, long coming. We have Cisco switch management, so we're also moving out of just managing servers and managing devices. We have OpenStack and VMware integration, and we work with AWS and Rackspace as well. And since then, we've gotten great investors. So we did a Series C round with Kleiner Perkins, and we went out to some strategic investors that thought they might be interested in what we were doing. Cisco, Google, and VMware all joined on. They all use Puppet too, so it was an easy sell for them. So what's the real problem we're trying to solve with Puppet? We have a lot of complexity in data centers, and we have like Web 2.0 startups that get to use just Node.js, and that works just fine. But we also have like larger data centers, larger companies that are dealing with their legacy applications. How do they move fast in that world? We have the need for velocity in line with the complexity we have, and we have to do this all at scale. And we can scale with the cloud, but it doesn't solve the problem. So this is a kind of complicated drawing, but it's really important to call out. We see that the cost, this orange bit of the graph, is the cost of managing things, and it scales not with the physical servers, but with the logical servers. It's proportional to the logical servers. So just because we're going to the cloud does not mean that all of a sudden all of our administration woes are gone. So problem with complexity is it leads to failure. If I don't have a simple way to manage this complexity and model it, it leads to failure. And that failure leads to uncertainty, and so that uncertainty leads to processes that slow down software delivery. So you buy expensive ITIL solutions that slow down the way you move through your infrastructure, move your code out into production in your infrastructure. So a really kind of pathological case of this with one of our customers was it would take 3 months to develop an application, and it would take them 9 months to deploy it out in their infrastructure. They had every tool under the sun, and there was no alignment from their dev to their production environments. So what Puppet tries to do is model the complexity, manage the uncertainty, and reduce the fear. We give you visibility in what you're doing. And in a Puppetized infrastructure, you should be able to do 3 months of development and take the same amount of time to deploy. So you should get that alignment just the same time. And if you develop in a day, you should be able to deploy all the time. You're keeping your infrastructure in line with the code. So how does Puppet do that? So Puppet, at its core, is a modeling language. It's a tool for enforcing that model on the systems that you're managing, and a system for reporting on those changes. So basically, you take complex infrastructure and you turn it into a simple model. We actually have auditors that read this code now. Instead of just sysadmins or developers, auditors read this code and go, look, here are the things that I'm declaring on an infrastructure. So you have a simple model that can be shared. So you define that model, you simulate how you're rolling it out, you enforce it, and then you analyze the results. Real simple workflow. And then you can take that workflow and apply it, because now your infrastructure is code. You can take that workflow and apply it to your development environments, your QA environments, your staging environments, and your production environments. So you have this IT alignment. It is DevOps. This is the idea. We take this process and we push it all the way down to the very beginning of your infrastructure. So 3 months to develop should mean 3 months to deploy. And this approach has been validated. So we have these, and we're open source software, so a lot of these stories are, we didn't have a large company, sales engineering force that would go out and do these kind of stage demos. These results are just from people using our software and getting lots of benefits. And then at the bottom there, we have all of our customers. So one of the great things about Puppet is we have a huge open source community. And so this means that when you're Citigroup of the world and you want to go find talent that can help you transform your IT, there's a large community of open source contributors, open source Puppet users. We have 4,000 active community members. We're doing Puppet camps every 15 days with hundreds and 50 people showing up at each one of those. So, and our big ask is for those of you that aren't using Puppet, I know a lot of the companies here already are, it's just to try out Puppet Enterprise. It's easy, download it, and get running with it in minutes. There's a simple VM to teach you the modeling language, apply it to your infrastructure, and go. All right, since then our team has grown, so we've gotten a lot bigger. Okay. We're 85 people at the company now.
Thanks, Teo.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job. Well, these guys have already won Best in Show here, so there's not, we don't have to do a heavy
Do we have to vote on them?
No, you don't have to vote on them. Nobody has to vote on them, but I would love your feedback. I mean, have you guys heard of these, of Puppet, and are you using them? And
No, I don't, no, but, I think they have, their exits are logical to me. I know it's gonna happen. I know who's gonna buy them, so no wonder
You
they
do.
won Best.
Well,
We'll have to
wonder
talk
what-
afterwards.
could you share with us?
I have some hopes and dreams of who that would be, and some that scare the crap
Yeah,
out of me.
I actually pretty much have a sense of where you're gonna go for exit,
We kind of want to be a big company. So we're focusing on being a sustainable company, and we think there's a huge market for it. I know.
Just get out, man.
You guys have any other questions? Anybody here have questions about Puppet? I'm happy to talk about it. I know it went real fast. Yeah.
How is the Puppet versus Chef debate?
Oh yes, the classic Puppet versus Chef debate. I think there's a place where we diverged. They decided that they were going to put a play on the SaaS market, and what we said is, we know that there's a lot of legacy infrastructure, and we didn't think that the people that really cared about this kind of thing wanted to move there yet with this kind of data, the details about how they're configuring their applications. And so we placed a bet on the other side, where we're going to bet on delivering software traditionally to customers so they can live inside their data centers. And you can use it in the cloud. It's easy to get Puppet going in the cloud. You just turn up a virtual machine and use it, right? It's not hard. So we figured we'd have more coverage. And I think the big difference, I can talk to you about the technology differences, but the big difference is that we've just rapidly expanded because of that bet. We've grown our community, we've gone into the enterprise, so our growth has really, really been good. That's all I can say from here. Technology-wise, with Perl you could configure your infrastructure, right? You could do one of the things that Puppet does provide you is some insight, because we build a model and we store that model. So one of the things we're going to be bringing to market in the near term, and we just announced this in Puppet 2.5, is the Puppet data library. So you can do a lot of introspection of all the configurations. You can have, it's a dirty word, CMDB, but you can have an active CMDB that's executable, that stores that information because you have all the models there. Any other questions?
The thing that scares me about, look, I'm going to be a nice big company, I'm going to IPO, which is a good thing, I think. I think companies should IPO, I've experienced it. So you also have the danger of when people invest in you and they're a big company, you're like you're an R&D expense for them. And you know what? They're learning, they're doing it. And if they already have an installed base, which is some of your investors have, and they go okay, build or buy, and so there's a point wherein, you got to go and say, when to win, basically, and when to go and win and go on to the next one. It's just a comment,
No, appreciate it. We have those conversations internally, don't we?
A lot,
Don't
I'm
think we
sure.
don't. But our focus is to build a good company. I think that will lead to the exit that we want anyway. So just focus on building good company, good product, build good relationships.
Sounds like good advice for a lot of people in the
Yeah.
room. All right.
All right,
Teo,
thank you.
thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. Whoops. All right. Okay, so just a little bit of